All right, today we're going to be tackling something that is not going to win any excitement awards, but it might have your bank account doing backflips. That's right, we're going to be talking about the oh so boring but incredibly lucrative remote jobs that companies are always hiring for. So grab your coffee, put on those noise canceling headphones, and let's dive into these gold mines of remote work opportunities. And trust me, your bank account will thank me later. All right, first one on the list is going to be a doozy, and that is a funeral sales specialist. Now, if you can talk about sensitive topics with grace and you have a knack for helping people plan for the inevitable, a funeral sales specialist might be your unexpected calling. Yeah, this one is a little bit dark, a little bit morbid, and not a lot of people probably even want to think about this, never mind doing it for a living. But let's talk about living wages in the business of the deceased. Entry-level specialists start at about $63,000 to $103,000 a year, and that's according to Glassdoor salary for funeral sales specialists that have 0 to 1 years of experience. Now, you might be turned off on this one, and I totally understand if you do. It's definitely not for everyone, but this Reddit post describes a funeral sale counselor's role in educating families about pre-planning while providing emotional support. And this position focuses on compassionate guidance rather than traditional sales, offering both personal fulfillment and solid compensation. So this and many other anecdotes on the internet say relatively good things about the position. So if you're becoming a little more open-minded to this role, here's your roadmap to success. First, get licensed in funeral service merchandise sales. And requirements vary by state, so look up how to do it for your state. Second, develop your empathy and emotional intelligence skills. Third, master CRM systems because follow-up is crucial. And finally, learn about different cultural and religious funeral traditions. For instance, there are many cultures and religions out there that actually cremate people. And then of course, there are other cultures and religions out there that believe in burying the dead. And for job listings, check platforms like LinkedIn and Indeed, or explore local cemetery websites for career opportunities in this field to get your foot in the door. And you could even consider cold emailing or cold calling mortuaries or cemeteries and asking them if you can have a job. So with that being said, I don't think this is good for a lot of people out there. It's definitely not the best choice for everyone. Sales in general is difficult as it is, and it's not going to be the right type of career for everyone. And then this is one of those career paths that, is definitely not going to be right for everyone. So with that being said, I am going to give this one a 7.5 out of 10 opportunity score because I do think it is a very important job. Somebody definitely has to do it. And because of that, there's a lot of opportunity for this one, but it's not going to be right for everyone. Next on the list is going to be a software engineer or software developer, and we're just going to get this one out of the way right away. There are certain types of software engineering and software development that are especially boring. In many cases, they are like database related or architect related. In some cases, they might be like cybersecurity related, but the truth is many of them are quite boring. But that's not always a bad thing. And yeah, while you might spend your days staring at lines of code that look like hieroglyphics to everyone else, you'll be laughing all the way to the bank because software engineers and software developers make ridiculously good money. Now let me hit you with some numbers that might make your eyes pop. Entry-level positions start off at $102,000 to $176,000 a year for full-time positions. And that's according to Glassdoor salary data. And if you land a gig at one of those tech giants, we're talking about potential earnings that could make your relatives suddenly remember you exist during the holidays. Now, I'm going to show you real stories to give you a better picture of what this role entails. Here's a Reddit discussion where a seasoned pro said blending technical skills with genuine curiosity about company goals leads to more impactful solutions. And here's Sarah, who shared that her day-to-day work involves coding, meetings, and personal time, showcasing a blend of professional and personal activities. Now let me break down how you can get your foot in this very profitable door. First, you'll want to master at least one programming language. Python or JavaScript are solid choices for beginners. Second, build a portfolio on GitHub. It's like your coding resume on steroids. Third, get comfortable with version control and collaborative tools. And finally, practice those technical interviews because they're like solving puzzles while someone watches you sweat. And when it comes to your search, LinkedIn is a very solid option. Also, Stack Overflow jobs and GitHub jobs are great places to look. And a pro tip here is to follow tech companies that you're interested in on Twitter or X, because they often drop job openings there before anywhere else. Now, with that being said, I do think this is a great opportunity. The market for software developer and software engineering jobs did get a bit tough over the last year and a half or so. It's not as good as it used to be, but it's still a lot better than lots of other markets out there. You know, some people act like the market is just absolutely terrible. If you're a skilled software developer or software engineer, it's still pretty good. And plus, you make way more money than the average job, right? So overall, I'm gonna give this one a 9.5 out of 10 opportunity score. There's high demand, there's great pay, it's a future-proof career, and the only reason it's not a perfect 10 is because the learning curve can be steeper than a roller coaster drop. Now, speaking of problem solving and attention to detail, let's move on to our next digital opportunity, which is data scientist. Now, if you've ever gotten excited about finding patterns in spreadsheets, weird flex, but okay, then becoming a remote data scientist might be your calling. And hold on to your spreadsheets, folks, because these numbers are about to get juicy. Data scientists make $118,000 to $197,000 a year, according to Glassdoor. And if you specialize in AI or machine learning, well, let's just say that you might need to upgrade your digital wallet, because there are jobs that can get over $500,000 a year. Now, this data scientist shared that those who actively seek leadership opportunities through mentoring, onboarding, and project management are going to have a much better chance at landing a job. And for this data scientist, quality assurance roles combine code review, research implementation, and analytical oversight to ensure statistical accuracy. And the workload starts manageable and gradually increases with project ownership. So, are you ready to become one? Well, here is your game plan. First, get cozy with Python or R. They're like the Swiss Army knives of data science. Second, master SQL because data isn't going to query itself. Third, learn some machine learning frameworks like TensorFlow or PyTorch. And finally, build a portfolio of data projects that show that you can turn numbers into narratives and also turn numbers into actionable advice. So yeah, check out jobs on Indeed, Glassdoor, and good old LinkedIn. And also try joining data science related communities on Discord because some of the best opportunities get shared there first. Now this one, I can't give a high score just because it is significantly harder to break into data science than even something like software developer. Many data scientists have master's or even doctoral degrees. However, you can break into some of the lower level jobs. You can become like a data analyst and then work your way up and eventually become a data scientist. But you really gotta love math and statistics, and you really have to be good at your job. With that being said, if you have the skills, you are probably never gonna have any trouble finding a job. Now, by the way, not all the jobs on this list are going to be super high level jobs. I'm gonna kind of drop in a good mix of, entry, mid, and high tier jobs. So no matter who's watching this, you're gonna be able to find something that you like. So go ahead and hit the like button if you appreciate me doing this type of video where I include a bunch of different tiers. All right, next one is an actuarial analyst. And if you thought that data scientists were good at math, these guys blow data scientists out of the water when it comes to mathematical ability. And boy, oh boy, do most people find that boring. So let's crunch some numbers about making numbers that will make your calculator sweat. Actuarial analysts make $96,000 to $152,000 a year, according to Glassdoor. But don't just take my word for it, or Glassdoor's word. Here's what actual professionals in this field have to say. This actuarial analyst started their career path with Excel and SQL work before advancing into management. They also talked about how insurance companies provide strong growth opportunities for actuaries through project leadership and mentoring roles, and overall they liked their job. Then Bella here balances exams and remote work thanks to companies offering paid study hours, and she shared that this role combines data analysis, competitive research, and continuous professional development through certification exams. So basically, when you're an actuary or you're on that actuary career track, there are tons and tons of certifications and exams that you can take in order to up level and make more money. And these are some of the most difficult exams in the world. Your mathematical skills have to be unbelievably good to pass these exams. So you're kind of like a Pokemon that just keeps on evolving and getting better and better throughout time, which is really cool to some people and probably really tedious and boring to others. Now, some websites you can go to check this out would be actuarialcareers.com, actuaryjobs.com, and the Society of Actuaries job board. And all job boards have external links to the homepage that can be used for this purpose. And all things considered, this career scores a solid 8.5 out of 10. Job security, rock solid. Great pay, Absolutely. Plus, it's an ideal remote job for all of our math-loving introverts. Next on our list is going to be accountant. And if doing numbers makes your heart sing and balancing books gives you a strange sense of peace, then remote accounting might be your calling. Plus, this one isn't nearly as difficult to get into. And there's a lot of different types of accountants, and some of them don't even require a college degree. Plus, one upside is you'll never have to explain what you do at parties because everyone will suddenly remember that they need another drink when you mention that you're an accountant and you start talking about debits and credits. So accountants make about $57,000 to $92,000 a year, according to Glassdoor. And to show what this really looks like in practice, let me share some real stories. This day in the life of ECTA shows tax accountants balancing client consultations, software management, and continuing education requirements. And the role combines tax preparation with strategic planning, requiring about 60 weekly hours during peak season. And check out this Reddit conversation revealing how entry-level accountants can start through temp agencies at $20 per hour before rapid growth. And within 2 to 3 years, salaries can double with a potential for 6 figures, even without CPA certification. Are you ready to make counting money your moneymaker? Well, here's your roadmap. First, get certified. Whether it's a basic bookkeeping cert or going all the way to CPA, go ahead and get it. Second, master accounting software like QuickBooks and Xero. Third, get comfortable with cloud-based tools because paper ledgers are so 1925. And finally, develop your communication skills because numbers might not lie, but they definitely need explaining sometimes. Now, where to find these jobs? Well, this job is in high demand, so just check LinkedIn, Robert Half Remote Jobs, or Indeed, where thousands of positions are waiting to be filled. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a strong 8.5 out of 10 opportunity score because the demand is as steady as taxes themselves, the pay is great, and every business needs someone to manage their money. Speaking of money, let's dive into another high-paying remote job you might be overlooking, and that is a financial analyst. So if market trends excite you, and you can explain compound interest without putting people to sleep, being a financial analyst might be your golden ticket. And for entry-level financial analysts, you can start earning about $83,000 to $131,000 a year. And you wanna know what this job looks like day to day? Well, let's hear from those who live it. Pearl, a financial analyst, spends most of her hours in Excel analyzing investment valuations and creating business cases. And for this role, expect a combination of project meetings, financial modeling, and scenario analysis with typical 3-hour daily meeting schedules. Now, as for this Tesla financial analyst, it's all about managing capital expenditures, plus forecasting models and real estate financials for larger companies. And in a snapshot, their day-to-day is a combination of data analysis with stakeholder meetings and spend request approvals throughout a typical 8 to 6 p.m. workday. Now, if this piques your interest, here's your financial forecast. First, get that finance or economics degree because it's kind of like a golden ticket. And by the way, I did an entire video on how you can get a degree like that from a college such as WGU or Western Governors University, also TESU, Thomas Edison State University, in a very short period of time, sometimes even less than a year. Then second, master financial modeling and valuation techniques. And third, get comfortable with Bloomberg Terminal or FactSet. And finally, develop your analytical writing skills because numbers need narratives to make sense to higher ups. So basically, you need to be able to explain the numbers to non-numbers type people. And then head to LinkedIn, Glassdoor, or Indeed, and you will find thousands of positions that are ready to be filled. And this one scores an 8.5 out of 10 with high demand, great pay, and a future-proof career. The downside, market crashes might fast-track those gray hairs. Now, by the way, if any of these jobs caught your eye, or if there's another job you'd like me to talk about, go ahead and comment down below. We read the comments, and there is a very good chance that I will include that job in a future video or go over the job in more detail. Next is an underwriter. And if you've got a secret love for crunching numbers and analyzing what could go wrong, then an underwriting role could be your calling. And entry-level underwriters start around $62,000 to $104,000 a year. And the best way to understand this opportunity is through real examples like this one. Mallory reveals underwriters that can earn 6-figure salaries reviewing insurance risks and making coverage decisions. However, strong time management is essential to handle heavy workloads. But the role offers location flexibility and plenty of room for career growth. And this conversation reveals how underwriters manage $10 million portfolios while juggling endorsements, renewals, agency visits, and multiple weekly meetings. And you may be expected to multitask across various operational responsibilities beyond core underwriting duties. So, are you ready to become a professional risk assessor? Well, here's your roadmap. First, get familiar with underwriting software and risk assessment tools. Second, study up on industry regulations, and I get it, boring but necessary, like flossing. Third, develop strong analytical skills, and finally, work on your decision-making abilities, because maybe isn't a word underwriters get to use often. Now, LinkedIn alone has over 3,000 jobs available for the taking, so that would be a really good place to get started looking. This career gets an 8 out of 10. Stable demand, great pay, and remote friendly. Now let's shift gears to our next remote opportunity, project manager. If you love keeping multiple plates spinning while putting out fires, project management lets you orchestrate chaos into harmony from the comfort of your home. So let's talk about the money, because these numbers are pretty sweet. Entry-level project managers start at around $79,000 to $133,000 per year, with more experienced project managers commanding higher salaries. And the reality of this job becomes clear when you hear stories like this one, where she shares that project managers spend 75% of their time coordinating meetings and stakeholder communications across global teams. And she shares that this hybrid role combines flexible remote work with strategic planning, status reporting, and constant adaptability. And here's a Reddit conversation that reveals a project manager who starts at 3 to 5 a.m. to sync with global teams, with meetings running from 5:30 to 7:30 a.m. And they dedicate their remaining hours to task work and next day preparation. Okay, so here's how to get started. First, get certified. PMP is kind of the gold standard, especially for beginner project managers. There's also Prince 2 or Agile certifications, depending on the company you're applying to. Second, master project management software, such as Jira and Microsoft Project. Third, develop your negotiation skills, because scope creep is real. And finally, work on your diplomatic skills, because you'll be dealing with everyone from developers who speak in code to executives who speak in buzzwords. And with over 44,000 jobs on LinkedIn alone, you're bound to find the perfect fit to kickstart your project management career. So yeah, project management I think is absolutely phenomenal. There's so many opportunities here. I think a really big key to this one is having some kind of like industry specific acumen or skills. But with that being said, I'm gonna give this one a solid 9 out of 10. All right, next on the list is a UX UI designer. And this is for the creative mind with a knack for analysis. So UX UI design is very artistic, it's very creative. You're basically designing the interfaces that people use on different websites, and you're making sure that users don't want to throw their devices out the window. But at the same time, the UI side of things is very analytical. So you've kind of got the art side and the analytical side of things all in one. So this is a very rare skill set, and if you are good at this, you can get paid really good money. And that's why you could make about $67,000 to $121,000 a year annually, according to Glassdoor. Now, here are some interesting stories from real-world professionals. In this video, Maureen details a UX designer's workday balancing focused design time with team meetings, but also user flows and wireframing tasks. And schedules would alternate between intense creative work and collaborative sessions with dedicated blocks for service blueprinting and stakeholder alignment. And the conversation reveals a remote UX designer's time allocation with 40% in meetings and only about 15% on actual design work. And their role heavily focuses on communication, documentation, and ticket management. So, do you think you have what it takes? Well, here's a quick design journey. First, master the Holy Trinity: Figma, Sketch, and Adobe XD. Second, build a portfolio that showcases your skill with the Holy Trinity and your problem-solving skills, not just pretty interfaces. Third, learn basic coding principles. You don't need to be a developer, okay? But you do need to be able to kind of speak their language. And finally, develop your user research skills, because assumptions are the mother of all UX disasters. And once you've done that, check out LinkedIn and Glassdoor for job opportunities in this field. And a pro tip is to get the Google UX Design Professional Certificate, which I'll go ahead and put down in the description and the pinned comment below, because it's a great place to get started. Oh, and another pro tip is to share your work and process on Twitter. The design community there is incredibly supportive and often shares job opportunities. Now, with that being said, it is relatively difficult to get a design job. I don't want to fool you here. This is a job where you get to do art as a living. A lot of people want to do that, and so it's very competitive. Basically, any job where you get to do art for a living is going to be extremely competitive, right? So I do like this job a lot, but you do have to have pretty extreme skills. Like, you have to be quite good at like the artistic side, the design side, but also pretty good at the analytical side too. So I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10 overall. overall. All right, next is a content strategist. And if you're good at spotting trends from miles away and making marketing teams drool over your content calendar, then becoming a content strategist could be your thing. And as for earning potential, you'll make about $55,000 to $89,000 a year in this position. So as a content strategist, it's pretty obvious what you'd do. You'd be strategizing the content creation for a company. So in some cases, this might be on YouTube, or it might be on other social media platforms, or it might be on a variety of different platforms and mediums. So to put this in perspective, here's what an experienced professional shared. Lauren's day consists of work balancing content creation, strategic planning, and platform management from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. And her role combines creative media days with business-focused administrative work, emphasizing long-term organic marketing growth. And here, a seasoned pro discusses how to make content marketing teams face varying leadership approaches and organizational structures across different companies. And they pointed out that this role requires adaptability and data-driven strategies while navigating input from both marketing and non-marketing leaders. So, are you ready to become a content chess master? Well, here's your strategy playbook. First, master analytics tools like Google Analytics and SEMrush. And SEMrush is especially useful if you're making content for websites. Second, develop your audience research skills because content without audience insights is just digital confetti. Third, learn content management systems inside and out. And finally, sharpen your storytelling skills because even the most boring product has a story to tell. Now, as for opportunities, Glassdoor has over 1,000 jobs available for this role. And I really like this one. There's, of course, lots of different types of content strategists. You know, I'm a little bit biased. I think content strategy on YouTube is awesome. And I think there's more and more opportunities growing for this one. And there's just not a lot of people that know about it. So there's not really an infrastructure to get into the job. But at the same time, that means there's more opportunities for people that are a little bit creative about how they reach out to companies and get opportunities. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8.5 out of 10 opportunity score. All right, next is a good one. We're going to go over a cybersecurity consultant role. And think James Bond meets tech genius. Cybersecurity consultants get paid top dollar to protect companies from digital villains, all while working from their secret home headquarters. And as to salary, entry-level consultants start around $90,000 to $157,000 a year. And that's according to Glassdoor. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, cybersecurity is definitely not for everyone. It's quite boring in many cases, and at the same time, there's a lot of pressure that gets put on you. But just to check out kind of a glimpse of what a cybersecurity consultant does on a day-to-day basis, Ashley shared that as a cybersecurity consultant, it's about balancing crisis prep with business development in a high-tech fusion center, with a hybrid work setup offering remote flexibility and in-office collaboration. And this Reddit post highlights a cybersecurity consultant's career progression from hands-on hacking to leading penetration testing teams. And their role combines technical oversight with mentoring, making each day uniquely engaging compared to traditional work. Okay, so here's your security roadmap. First, get certified. I made an entire video talking about a bunch of the certifications and certificates that you can get. Some of the big ones are going to be CompTIA Security Plus. Those are great. There's also CISP and CEH, and you'll get these depending on which roles you're applying for. Second, you want to master security tools and frameworks. And then third, learn to write clear incident reports, kind of almost like a 5-year-old, because executives need to understand why they should care about that vulnerability that you found. And finally, develop your consulting skills because sometimes the hardest part isn't finding the security hole, it's convincing someone to fix it. And then go ahead and check out LinkedIn and Glassdoor for positions ranging from entry level to managerial roles. And I have to say, if you are able to learn cybersecurity skills, you are just absolutely set when it comes to jobs. Like, there are so many opportunities in cybersecurity. This is one of the only careers where I've seen people go from pretty much entry level, like almost zero experience at all, to making well over 6 figures a year, sometimes like multiple 6 figures a year in a super short period of time. So I'm gonna give this one a 9.5 out of 10 opportunity score. Now the catch, bad guys never sleep, so sometimes you won't either. Now, by the way, if you like what you're seeing so far, share this video with someone who might be interested in exploring one of these career paths. I understand that, you might be looking at some of these careers and like, that one's not for me, that one's not for me. But if you watch enough of these videos, you're definitely gonna find something that will resonate with you and it'll be a good fit for you. And then same thing with other people, because let's be honest, we're all different. Next on our list is business intelligence specialist. And for this role, you'll be turning mountains of data into actionable insights and making Excel pivot tables sing. And let's crunch some numbers about making money from crunching numbers. First of all, BI specialists start at about $88,000 to $148,000 a year. And let's look at how this plays out in the real world. Here's a BI analyst sharing their workflow using 2-week sprints and Jira for project management. And his focus involves data transformation and validation while building reliable data sets for stakeholder consumption. And check out this Reddit post where they shared their daily workflow combining morning meetings, dashboard development, and stakeholder training. And this specialist uses drag and drop tools like Tableau for data visualization while handling ad hoc requests through SQL and Excel. Now, if this catches your interest, here's a quick intelligence briefing. First, master BI tools like Tableau and Power BI. Second, get comfortable with SQL. It's basically going to be your new best friend. Third, develop your data visualization skills because a pretty chart is worth 1,000 spreadsheets. At least when you're talking to non-business intelligent people. All joking aside, but LinkedIn is the best place to find opportunities for this role. Lots of opportunities on LinkedIn. Also check out datajobs.com. We see lots of opportunities pop up there too. So this one is really solid. Guys, we look at all kinds of different job opportunities. So we're seeing like what's happening in many different industries. And this one just pops up over and over again. I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10 opportunity score. Now, by the way, a lot of the jobs on this list were on the higher side. They're kind of like mid-level jobs or even higher level jobs. And if you want to see a video that I made on 21 of the highest paying work from home jobs that you can get without a degree, check that out by clicking right here.